Hello, Kardec Radio on Facebook page. I hope everyone here is coming to listen to our weekly address every Sunday at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock East Coast time, all time zones in between, and all time zones around the world. Tonight we're on chapter 24, or also verse 24, Perseverance in Goodness. And this is the poem Inner Peace by the Spirit Andre Luis. And of course, this is what I wrote my book on. Each short verse is, I make one chapter of Perseverance and Goodness is the last verse in the poem, and it's also the second to last chapter in the book. And I explain what is meant. What do they mean by perseverance and goodness? And then how do we achieve perseverance and goodness? What do the spirits tell us about perseverance and goodness? It's the last verse that also probably means it's probably the hardest, the most difficult. Andre Luis set his verses so they were cascading. You had to kind of, it's like prerequisites. You kind of had to get the beginning verses, you had to get the beginning steps and signs and signals to how to achieve inner peace, how to live, as I call it in my book, so you can be ready to ascend in the spirit world. Now, why are we here? We are here because of Spiritism, codified by Allan Kardec. And of course, you can click on his picture in my blog, nwspiritism.com. You can go right to the bookstore, find his Allan Kardec's book, as well as Chico's and other books. And then you can also find them on PDF. As I say, every program, just put in Allan Kardec and then PDF, and you'll find his books in PDF format. So they are completely free. Spiritism is a wonderful doctrine. It's not a religion. It is a doctrine. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to this doctrine. Allan Kardec did in the 1850s, and it has been spreading. It spread rapidly at first, and then organized religion tried to damp it down, and then it started back up. There's almost 10% of people, or maybe 5% of people in Brazil call themselves spiritists, and Spiritism is really, in a very short phrase, it's follow the golden rule. That's what the spirits tell us. We want to understand Spiritism very short and sweet. It's follow the golden rule. And then to get into Spiritism, which they tell us so much more than what other doctrines and religions tell us about the spirit world, about where we go, how many times we live, reincarnation, what the process is, how we continue to learn and educate ourselves in the spirit world. It really tells you what is waiting for us when we move over to the spirit world, the real world, because we are immortal. We are never die. We just lose this body. That's why never be afraid of death or whatever. It's just a phase you're going through, just like end of a class. So let's talk about perseverance in goodness. Now, perseverance is the secret to a fulfilled life, is it not? We all know this, for we learned it as a child, and we have mostly ignored it since, right? Our culture of rapid gratification, internet pages must load within 2 seconds, movies must have action before the opening credits, all promote the abandonment of any pursuit that encounters the smallest obstacle or delay. We understand that the most successful people are those who don't give up. They continue striving in the face of repeated failures. In fact, they gather experience from their failures, which allows them to more expertly surmount hurdles placed in their path. I don't know about you, but growing up, I heard one of the most famous stories of perseverance is of Robert the Bruce. He declared himself to be King of Scotland in 1306. He fought the English for years to drive them out of the country. During one particular low point in his struggles, he found himself alone in a dreary cave on the island of Ratchen. His brother had been caught and executed, and his wife was held captive by the English. He was in despair. His fortunes couldn't be lower. As he sat in the cave hiding from the English, he thought of giving up. Then he spotted a spider trying to weave a web. The spider attempted to jump from one ledge to another so he could begin the web's construction. Robert the Bruce watched intently. He saw the spider fail 6 times, which was the number of times he had battled the enemy. He told himself that if the spider was successful in the next try, then he too would once more gird himself for battle. The spider leaped and was able to grasp the other side. Robert went on to defeat the English and drive them out of Scotland. Everything was against this brave king. He had lost repeatedly. His closest family were either dead or in prison, yet he had a goal in mind. He struggled on. What does this teach us? That the spirit world wishes us to struggle on too. Perseverance and goodness. They realize we shall encounter implacable foes and lose battles in our quest for true spirituality and understanding of our place on earth. But we must not let defeat deter us. Okay, so let's give the definition of perseverance. The spirit Joanna de Angelis, you can find her books by Divaldo Franco, supplies the definition of perseverance. This is what she says. Perseverance entails tenacity and persistence in the endeavor one is undertaking or plans to undertake, such that the course is not interrupted. Even when challenges manifest, firmness of decision on what one will carry out instills more interest in the process, helping one to finish the project without discouragement, risk taking hold, and working against it. Only with perseverance can one shape one's ambitions to one's acts, making them accomplishable, materializing them, especially those of lofty moral character, the ones that result in blessings for the spirit. Oh, hello, good evening to you, soul. So the key phrase of what Joanna de Angelis told us, which highlights the vast difference between the physical and spiritual universe, is materializing them. In our world, actual physical labor is always required for any task. Even that means just typing in code via a keyboard. Whereas in the spirit realm, thought is the impetus for action. So hence, the quest to build a new house is painstaking for us on earth. We must design, we must earn money for the materials and labor, buy and deliver the resources, take the wood, nails, roofing, etc., and begin building, all with our sweat. In the spirit world, a high spirit may gather a group of friends, agree on the design, and then construct the edifice by the power of their minds. Remember. Oh, hello, Matthew. Yes, happy daylight savings to you. I didn't even know until just today that it happened. So therefore, remember, thought is action in the spirit world. So therefore, given the added effort to accomplish a task on the physical plane, acquiring persistence is required and will be of great benefit when we return to the spirit universe. Because high spirits don't only create houses to live in, as spirits continue their ascent, they begin to build planets, direct the evolution of life over the span of countless eons. Joanna de Angelis, in her book, Life, Challenges, and Solutions, tells us more about the quality we should acquire. The effort to persevere at lofty objectives is an achievement of the awakened conscience. Objectives that lift individuals from intellectual and moral parasites to the level where countless dormant inner resources bloom, just waiting to be awakened by the wheel. Like any other type of conditioning, perseverance is the result of the persistence individuals impose on themselves to achieve the objectives that promote and dignify them. There is no one devoid of perseverance or who is incapable of achieving it, because it results only from the desire that becomes an actual attempt to be accomplished by continuous action. From the acquisitions of patience and then perseverance, which completes it, one proceeds to self-confidence, to the certainty about existing possibilities that may be used for fulfilling one's inner longings. Fear vanishes along with the self-punishing, self-afflicting mechanisms that disrupt the individual's evolution. With self-confidence, the will is controlled by a healthy mind, which discerns what one should and can do, what one's objectives in life are, and how to mature emotionally and psychologically to confront the vicissitudes, difficulties, and problems that make up part of one's inner growth. So what is she telling us? Perseverance is the springboard towards faith, faith that is built upon strong foundations, upon ideals cemented by patience and persistence. True faith bolsters one's self-confidence and erases doubts. I'm not speaking of blind faith, where followers believe in whatever is told to them like a fanatic without introspection and analysis, but of an intellectual certainty that can withstand the immense pressures of modern society and rampant materialism that we all can see today. Faith that can stay true with love for all and without imposing ideas upon others who are not ready. Let's talk about that for a second. Faith. Why do I keep talking about faith? And why is faith mentioned in one of the beginning verses of Inner Peace? Because faith is power in the spirit realm. Since thought is action in the spirit universe, certainty of thought is the accelerator to control the engine. An idea alone does nothing. It must be backed up by a focused beam of willpower. The spirit Zabdiel defines what faith actually means in the world. Now, this spirit is one of the high spirits that talked to the Reverend Jiva Owen, and I talk about all the things that were revealed by this group of high spirits, the Reverend Jiva Owen, in my series of 3 books. Heaven and Below is the first one. You can find that on my website, nwspiritism.com, on the right-hand navigation bar, and there'll be a link to either Amazon Kindle or paperback. I recommend these books. They tell you a lot of really what are the processes, how things work in heaven, and it gives you a lot more information than just the books that you see from Chico Xavier. It's very complimentary. So what did Zabdiel tell us what faith actually means? This is what he said. According to your faith, be it unto you. This stands as a promise of power today as when he first said it, and it may be claimed with full assurance of fulfillment. Only that faith must be present, and then the present enablement will be manifest in ways diverse, but was in uncertainty of cause and effect. Now, this is not alone to you, but to us here in these spheres, progressed and progressive, meaning you're saying to us here in heaven, in higher and higher levels of heaven. I'll go on. It is the acquiring of faith in exercise that we study to compass, and that gotten we are powerful to help others and ourselves to enjoy. For it is delight and pleasure to give more than to receive, as he said. But do not mistake the nature of faith in the using it. In the earth life, it is of indefinite quality, and as mostly understood, something between trustfulness and a right understanding of what is truth. But here, meaning in heaven, where we study all things as to their essence, we know that faith is more than this. It is power capable of scientific analysis in a measure in correspondence with the progress made by any man. So he's revealing a lot about what is life in the spirit realm. This is why these books are so exciting. And the messages from high spirits, because they're telling us what's essential. And then by understanding what is essential in the spirit realm, we're understanding why we are being trained the way we are. Why is our training so darn hard? Why do we have to go through all these trials and tribulations and drama on earth? Because our power is so massive. Faith in the spirit realm is power, raw power to create, transform, and destroy. Hence, only those who have been rigorously trained and tested are allowed to wield such an instrument. This is why we are on earth, to learn how to control our minds so one day we can manage the divine power. And the first step is to cultivate perseverance so we can begin to climb the heights of spiritual authority. Now, let's talk about goodness. Goodness, what does it entail? And why should we keep doing good? Jose Herculano Perez, in the book Spiritual Wisdom, Myths of the Hope, tells us in this section titled The Stairs of Goodness. This is what he said. Sartre's sentence is well known. Hell is other people. However, Andre Luiz's proposes the opposite. Heaven is other people. When we understand well the need for social life, we learn that the obstacles are rings of a ladder we must climb. Such obstacles are precisely the other individuals, for they are the ones who deny us the benefits we wish to attain, who try to divert us from our paths, are used as instruments for their personal gain at the expense of our own accomplishment. But if we are in the physical life to develop our faculties and learn how to overcome difficulties, it is evident that obstacles are resources of which we avail ourselves for our improvement. An obstacle is a race is an invaluable training ground to an athlete. We are nothing but athletes of the spirit, developing our skills during life. An athlete develops muscles, agility, and equilibrium. The spirit advances the intelligence, thought, and understanding and love. But while others along the way, we would not have the opportunity of practicing. As it is, we are forced to find other means of behavior in the extent of our failures in social relationships. Therefore, when we treat others as our brothers and sisters as opposed to adversaries, we are able to overcome the obstacles. God is supreme goodness, and the others represent the rungs of the ladder that leads us to Him. By thinking of God and promoting goodness to others, we are all climbing the stairs to true success. We must nullify today the consequence of the evil we embraced in the past, for those reactions are what entangled us. Let us learn presently to do good to others, and the Creator will reciprocate with the good of others on our behalf. Now, Jose Herculano prayers brilliantly explained our plight here on earth in 4 paragraphs. When we think of as punishment and frustration brought on by other people who don't submit to our desires, or even worse, actively thwart our plans, are in actuality the course material we so sorely require for self-improvement. Hello, Rosalind. So think about that. Think back when you were a student. You were assigned a book to read. You read it with great reluctance, lamenting the time wasted when you could be doing something fun, right? Hanging out with your friends. You read the book deep enough just to get a passing grade, no more, no less. After the test was completed, the knowledge was discarded, never to be retrieved again. Whatever the teacher wished to convey with the book was lost upon you. But there were a few, maybe one lone student, who truly absorbed the book and couldn't wait to express their amazement at the gems hidden inside. You and others quickly shut them down or shamed them to remain quiet. You didn't want to hear their ramblings. Your focus was on other things, more immediate pleasures to be experienced. That lone student who was able to learn from the book was like an annoying mosquito that you tried to bat away and forget about, while you went on to satisfy your immediate desires. Nevertheless, there was a small spark of recognition that you may have missed something, which only served to increase your disdain for the person who found the buried treasure. That's our life on earth. Most of the lessons placed in front of us are dismissed as temporary problems, which should be resolved quickly and efficiently, and if it's possible, the cause of the trouble must be eliminated. Herculano Perez exposes the wrongness of this approach. Each assignment, each obstacle, and each difficult person is a wall that must be climbed. We can't go around, through, or stop in our tracks. The very act of facing the hurdle and dealing with its consequences fairly and honestly is precisely the lesson we need. One cannot express enough the difficulty of adhering to embracing the boulders on your path and dealing with them in a fraternal and helpful manner. Nothing is more challenging in your life than this. It goes against everything we're used to. It goes against everything that reality TV tells us to do, right? If someone does wrong for you, you seek revenge. If someone stops you, you try to bowl them over. If someone has money in their pocket and you can take it, then you take it. Everything is opposite of what we should be learning. Help that person keep the money in their pocket. Help them grow that money. Embrace that person who tries, to stop you and say, okay, why are you stopping me? Let's learn from this, right? Understand these things. Forgive the person that did something wrong for you because there's probably a good reason and they're actually giving you a valuable lesson. But I tell you, those are very hard for people to let go because it's just kind of ingrained in us. And it's also ingrained in us from past lives because we are spirits who are learning. We are not mature spirits. We are like junior high school kids, right? Or middle school kids, whatever you want to call them, who are kind of, a little bit crazy and can't control themselves. Well, we're a lot like that as in relation to the spirit world around us. So truly, preparing for an expedition to Mount Everest is child's play compared to the deep well you must create of love, empathy, understanding, and compassion to utilize the resources you so desperately need as you encounter and attempt to solve your problems with goodness in mind. Now, think back that last sentence of his stairs of goodness that I just said. It states that as we perform acts of goodness, others will equally assist us in our endeavors. So this is, again, what Spiritism exposes to all of us. You have no idea. I'm sure some of you probably have. It may be just me. I had no idea before I learned about Spiritism how we are spirits watch everything we do. And as we strive to improve, spirits from heaven lend us a hand. They are there to plant suggestions to those who could help us and block possible negative actions. As we walk on the path of light, we become part of a virtuous cycle where positive acts beget more. There's more. Benefits are not only for your current life, but for future lives as well. As one embarks upon the road of love, subsequent physical existences are composed of mainly edifying episodes. Periods of tragedy and pain are greatly reduced. In the book Planetary Transitions by the Spirit Manuel de Miranda, psychographed by Divaldo Franco, it's a great book, Planetary Transitions. There are communications dealing with the arrival of advanced spirits from another star system. They resided on a happy world, a planet a level ahead of a planet of regeneration. We are on a planet of atonement. So we're not even at a planet of regeneration. Right now, we are attempting to become a planet of regeneration. We're just on the beginning of that path. And of course, that is our next destination of Earth. Where a planet of atonement, just to let everybody know, is where spirits learn from past errors by repairing their mistakes and improving their character. That's why planet of atonement. Scores of spirits volunteered to be reborn on Earth to help lead the human race to a more civilized plateau, where hate, envy, disease, and poverty are vastly reduced or eradicated. These missionaries who have led virtuous and productive lives will not be subjected to the type of atoning drama so prevalent in our lives. The Spirit Manual reports on the life plan of these self-sacrificing souls who come to Earth to speed us on our planet's path to regeneration. This is what he said. Bringing from the dimensions whence they came the treasures they had acquired in the process of evolution, they were not exiled for the purposes of rehabilitation, but were volunteers of love contributing to the happiness of the human lives amongst whom they would be reborn. Therefore, in most cases, the care with regard to rebirth was limited to the genetic contributions from their future parents, so that the candidates' paraspirits could mold their intellectual and moral needs, experiencing the environment conjectures, but also developing their commitments without major impediments resulting from their organic machinery. So, what is he telling us? Their superior level allows their paraspirit, which is we are composed of spirit, paraspirit, physical body. So the paraspirit connects the physical body, connects to the spirit mind, to alter and supplement the cells comprising the embryo to conform to their intellectual and physical desires. Yes, some New Agers call them star seeds. Yes, and they are here. That's another word you could call them that. To the limits of their genetic material supplied by the parents, right? So since their past lives have been pristine, there is no need to experience hard trials of reparation for past misdeeds. Their lives will be free of tragedies and major diseases. If you ever encounter people who have lived a charmed life, right, never having excessive drama or catastrophic health issues, they could well be spirits from superior planets who have graciously accepted a mission to come to Earth to be a beacon of righteousness and love. Living a life of honesty, fraternity, and compassion results in the future life plan absence of personal disasters, of course, unless you yourself desire to improve a specific character attribute. That is not to say your future life will be free of conflict, for besides atoning for past mistakes, we as immature spirits still need to acquire certain life skills, right? But always keep in your mind, your education as well as your life stretches out for eternity. Now, let's talk about helping. The spirit Neo Lucio, let's get some water here. In the book Jesus in the Home, wrote about different conversations Jesus held with his disciples in Peter's and other houses. In one chapter titled The Rule of Helping, Jesus was asked how to help others and allow them to retain their dignity. This is what Jesus said. John, if you are seeking a rule of thumb by which to help others while at the same time helping yourself, remember that, remember to love your companions of the earthly journey as much as you would like to be loved and helped by them. Under the pretext of fostering the truth, don't make your life a battle in which your feet walk to earth like a fierce warrior in the desert. Remember that most ill persons already realize to some degree what their illness is, and so they need friendship and understanding more than they need medicine. Bear in mind that there's not one soul on earth that doesn't have difficult problems to resolve. Because of this, learn to show fraternal courtesy towards all of them. Welcome your travel companions, not merely with a greeting suggested by the rules of etiquette, but also with the warmth of your sincere desire to serve. Gaze into the eyes of people as they talk to you, observing their kind interest, and always be a tactful and attentive listener. Don't raise your voice too loudly, because they certainly and serenity with which is the most serious of matters to be dealt with does not depend upon how loudly they are discussed. Refrain from taking part in futile conversations. Undignified comments are always a criminal invasion into personal matters. Praise those who are industrious, and even when faced with those who are evil and lazy, try to exalt the good they are capable of doing. Flee pessimism, but wisely keep up your guard when dealing with individuals who are enterprising and carrying out respectable yet fleeting business in the world. Unproductive melancholy, which knows only how to complain, has never been useful to humankind, who is in need of good spirits. Make daily use of the shiny key of a friendly smile. It is with a spontaneous gesture of kindness that we can ward off many crimes and erase many wrongs. Do your best to always be punctual. Don't make your friends wait for you, so that you are not attributed a false sense of importance. Give thanks for all the blessings along the way, acknowledging both the large ones and the small ones. If the sun provides warmth for life, the grain of wheat provides our daily bread. Allow the living, invisible waters of love that proceed from God, our Father, flow through your heart to benefit the realm of struggle in which you live. Love is a divine force that enriches life and bestows power. Above all, let us do the best we can to aid in the happiness and spiritual growth of everyone around us, not just here, but everywhere, not just today, but always. Christ gave a tall order to John. John asked, how could he fulfill all this? Christ told him to keep goodwill always in the forefront of whatever he does. When one reads the passage above, it sounds challenging but doable to keep yourself on the path of love and assistance. But live through one day and see how many times the rules are violated. As I wrote down what Christ told John, I found numerous instances where I failed just the day before. At work, I raised my voice. I didn't realize it until someone told me afterward. I wasn't tactful. Instead, I gave orders. I was pessimistic, and I certainly didn't make use of a friendly smile when I should have. All failures in only a 12-hour period. I am happy to report that when I was asleep, I was perfect. We are creatures of habit. The routines reenact the interaction with people, even the tone of voice we use in specific circumstances. This is why perseverance of goodness is a Herculean task for those of us far from spiritual perfection. To be good, to act well, to project goodness takes a restructuring of habit, which have been ingrained and polished over many years, may reach back over lifetimes. All we can do is to start and measure our progress each day and to resolve to be better the next. Little by little, we shall improve. I know that I'm much better than before the time I had found Spiritism. Unfortunately, I still have a long way to travel since I was and am still too full of pride and too aggressive when I want something done. But slowly, the hard edges are being smoothed. Hopefully, one day in a future life, I can approach the true persistence of goodness and effectively assist those around me. So, this shows you why this was the last verse. I believe that perseverance and goodness through all circumstances is extremely difficult, but it is also telling us that this is the springboard. If we can go through these 24 verses, and I will go through it, next Sunday, I will go through all of them if I can. I might have to move this out amongst 2 Sundays, but it shows why this is lost, because this means to do this, we really have to mold our character, our personality. We have to, as the spirits tell us so many times, and by different spirits in different books, from Allan Kardec, to Valdo Franco, Chico Xavier, Reverend Jiva Owen, we have been told over and over, the goal on earth here is to remove our primitive emotions, remove our blemishes, and then through the white heat, and then some spirits call it the kiln, right, of our existence on earth, right? We remove the blemishes and we put in the better love, charity, fraternity, honesty, and we replace those primitive emotions with good, loving emotions. That's our goal here on earth, is to remold ourselves to become spirits who will actually one day be productive members of the higher spirit society. We are all here on the campus called Earth. We're all just learning. That's why forgive people. It's like, your first grader, you forgive them for dropping that dish or, whatever, always doing something wrong. And because you know that they'll grow, right? You know where they are. You know that child, where they are just by their physical traits on the path to maturity. And here, as us as adults, even though someone may appear as an adult, but you can talk to them and you can pretty well determine where they are on that approach to spiritual maturity. And that's why, yes, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make you mad. They're going to do things that are like, oh, I can't believe it, right? And as I say many times, doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you have to be a passive, let someone just slap you around. But you can focus, you can focus your willpower and give them commands, but don't react with anger. But you just look at where they are. That helps you forgive someone, because they're just like a first grader who, dropped that glass because you knew they would, right? Because, you never know what their minds is on. It's the same thing with these spiritually immature. Of course, we are spiritually mature, but so it's all relative. So all we can do is, your upperclassmen are helping the lowerclassmen is essentially what that is. And we just have to do it with love. We should not yell at people. We should not force people to believe what we believe, because they're not ready for it. And Spiritism puts things out, puts it on the table. If you want to adopt it, you want to read about it, fine. That's why I wrote my books. This is why I think these books are so important. Again, I'm going to say, look, everyone, please share this. Share my site, NW Spiritism. Share this video on other Facebook groups. I post this video on my YouTube and BitChute channels. You can join my YouTube and BitChute channels. Go to my site, nwspiritism.com. You can subscribe to one or both of them and tell other people about that. And then tell people, look, you can read the Spirits book. The Spirits book is just a wonderful thing. And this is, Allan Kardec. He's the codifier. The other book I see really well in Spiritism is the Gospel according to Spiritism. It tells you the Gospel, the New Testament, was written in a lot of parables because the world was not technically and sociologically ready to hear exactly what Allan Kardec brought us in Spiritism. That's why it's so important to then show them this is the next step. This is the third revelation. Moses was the first, Jesus was the second, and Spiritism, as Jesus said in the New Testament, I will send you a consoler who will give you more information under leadership of Spirit of Truth. So Allan Kardec wrote with a group of spirits organized by the Spirit of Truth and codified what was sent to him. And what I've done in my books and also this book, How to Live Inner Peace Through Spiritism, is I've taken stuff from all the authors, as well as from Allan Kardec, Valdo Franco, Reverend Jiva Owen, Chico Xavier, the mediums that brought forth information from higher spirits, and tried to interpret what is meant, right? And that's, again, what I've done on all my books. You can see all my books here, like the problem is the solution, like the things we're going through, they're there to help us, right? That's what I've just said in this talk. So I just give other ways of trying to get everything that was in English and present it to you in a way that you can learn and understand why you're here. Because If you really understand why you're on Earth, then you see everything differently. It is like, and this was done in, said many times in different passages of written spirit books, is like you can look at your life from a 10,000 foot level and you see the person walking a path, right? But when you're on the path, and the path looks smooth, right, from your way up above, you just, this path goes and you know where the path is going. But when we're here on Earth in our physical existence, you see the rocks in front of you, right? And the path looks like there's nothing there. Oh, thank you, Fernando. You see the rocks and you see the obstacles and you see kind of the meandering, which doesn't look like that much meandering from the top. But by knowing why we're here and knowing that this, who knows how many years of life we'll have, 60, 80, 100 years old, is nothing compared, absolutely nothing compared to our immortality. That's what we should remember. We're here to learn. Everyone around us is here to learn. Even those people that are giving us a big hassle, I just like, I just, when I was younger and before I said, I wish that person was gone. I wish that they were dead, right? Now I just go, okay, what do I have to learn, right? And it just takes the stress out of you. And sometimes if the door's closed to you and you've tried it with perseverance to get what you want, and the doors keep closing, well, that's a signal from the spirit world saying, I don't think you should go that way. Go that way. Those things happen to me in life. That's, again, in my book, The Seven Tenets of Spiritism, I talk about personally as I started to understand, I look back against my life, what were things open and closed? I had no idea. I thought they were just chaotic events, right? Because, growing up, I just thought, it's all free will. Well, yes, we have free will, but our free will is not as much as other people's free will in higher worlds. Our free will is our feelings, our ability to learn, and choices we make within our trials. When we get to do our trials, we have to do our trials. We can't say, no, I don't want that trial. I have free will. I don't want that. No, not going to happen. You're going to go through that trial. You're going to go through that divorce. You're going to go through that bankruptcy, whatever. Your house is going to burn. Those things will happen. It's your character, and you're learning from that, and your personality during these trials, tribulation. That's your free will, at least in our life here on the planet of atonement. Okay, I want to thank everyone for our talk today. Thank everyone for joining. And I just want to say again, please share what you've learned. Tell other people my books. If you like my books, please leave a nice review on Amazon. That I'd be very appreciative. Other people could look at and see how they helped you. I've talked to many people, and I just, I'm so happy that at least I can help some on bringing Spiritism to the English-speaking world. There's so many great people, Portuguese speakers, even here in the United States, that are having Spiritist centers. If you can't find a Spiritist center next to you, start one, right? You can just start a little study group. Fernando says, studying the books really help us know ourselves and walk towards the light on our own. Exactly true. That's what I have found. And that's why I wrote the books, because first of all, it helps me just reading them over and over, and learning about it. Oh, thank you, Livia. And thank you for all everyone's help. So I want to end this. I wish everyone the rest of their wonderful weekend, what's left of it. And I will see you next Sunday, and we will talk more. God bless everyone. God bless.